How much money should you invest in your brand? Well, there's actually a way to work this out, to feel confident that you're not spending too much or too little by answering one small question. And that question is what I'm going to help you answer in this video. Welcome back to another episode of Mwah TV. It's great to have you here. If you're into learning how to inject more creativity into building your business brand, then you probably want to go ahead and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell. When you do that, you're going to be notified when a new episode comes out every single Friday. So the question I want you to answer today is, how long have you been in business and which stage is your business really in? Okay, let's start off with this diagram then. Here you can see the different stages of any brand and indeed business. Startup to growth to maturity, to rebirth or decline. It doesn't matter what you do, this is the model you are in as a business owner. Correctly identifying where you really sit in this is where a lot of people make mistakes. The wrong assumption about what phase you're in can then be compounded when you start justifying what budget you ought to be allocating to investing further in your brand. Let's go a little deeper then. Startup phase. It's highly likely that you're going to return back into being in startup phase multiple times when you're setting up a new small business. It's really common when you're in small business that you do a lot of quick pivoting because you can see where there's more business available or that you want to serve a slightly different market. Every time you make one of those slight little changes, technically, you're returning right to the beginning of the startup phase, especially when it comes to your branding. I have a quick story here about my business to give you some context into this. So when I first I set up a portraiture photography studio. So it was a bricks and mortar business and I was doing all different types of portraiture photography. I decided to go to a full service agency to get my brand started for the very first time. So picture this, there's little nervous me, like really green, didn't know that much about what I was doing. And I was brought into this really swanky office, a really big boardroom, given this extra frothy cappuccino. And I sat there while 3 or 4 different guys gave me this presentation about what they thought my brand should look like. It was a really intimidating experience. And what made it worse for me was I pretty much choked on that cappuccino when they gave me a quote about how much all of this was going to cost. All the swankiness and polished experience aside, I fundamentally felt that these people did not understand about my brand. I either hadn't explained myself correctly, or it was just that I still wasn't very sure about how I wanted to make my mark. I did know though, from an instinctive point of view, that what they were suggesting is not what I wanted to do at all. So I quickly finished my frothy cappuccino and I made a bunch of excuses and dodged all of the sales questions and quickly got myself out of there. Looking back on this now with what I know, I just shake my head. I shake my head at myself and I shake my head at the agency as well. 9 years down the road, I think that the agency was actually quite irresponsible in going about trying to sell me this all-encompassing, quite high-end branding package. And I'm also really happy to shoulder some of the responsibility here as well. It was really foolish of me to think that sorting out your branding was a really easy tick box exercise. A quick note now about MVP, minimum viable product. Read any business book and you're going to see something along these lines. So when pursuing a new business or new business direction, it's a really smart idea to not invest heavily in your branding. It's highly likely that what you're serving, how you're serving it, and who you're serving it to is going to be in a state of flux while you start finding your feet and establishing your minimum viable product. It's actually a good thing as well to experience a few nightmare clients because this helps you establish who your client avatar or ideal target market should be by learning who you definitely don't want to work with. 5 quick indicators then that you're in the startup phase. Number 1, your processes are not set in stone, they're not written down, they're not documented in any way, and you're doing that because you're still tweaking your business model. Number 2, you don't have any set job descriptions for anyone who works in your business. In fact, anyone, it might just be you, who works in your business wears multiple hats on a daily basis. Number 3, you still can't answer the question, who is your ideal or who is your perfect customer? You can't answer that question succinctly. Number 4, you haven't really made a significant amount of money yet on the product or the service that you're selling. Now, this could be an indicator that you're just not very good at sales, and that's something that you want to hone and get better at to make more money. Or it could be that what you're trying to deliver just isn't viable. You haven't established that it's going to work in the marketplace that you're operating in. Number 5, you've actually been in business for yourself for a number of years, but you've pivoted and you've changed what you're doing multiple times as you've seen new opportunities. Even though you're a little bit scarred and bruised from all of those experiences, you are still technically in the startup phase. So if we've just established there that you are in fact in the startup phase in your business, then I strongly recommend you go ahead and keep going with the DIY bootstrapping approach when it comes to your branding until you are really confident that what you're selling is viable. Bootstrapping isn't going to work for absolutely everything. So you might know that you need some technical help with specific technical things. Maybe it's like website design or a logo design, in which case at this phase in your business, it's a really good idea to start working with lots of different creative suppliers. And just like we've said before, you're going to run into some nightmare experiences with these creative suppliers as you're trying and testing them out. You know you've found your people, your creative people, when you find the entire experience to be really joyful. You're going to come away from that experience feeling like they fully understand you, and you actually are going to feel happy to give them the money when that invoice comes through because you feel like they've added value back into your brand. And when you crunch the numbers, you're going to be really confident that the money that you spent is actually a reinvestment back into your brand equity as you're growing. The growth phase. The growth phase is all about making the right types of investment to grow in the way that you want the business to grow. From a branding perspective, this is where you really want to start shoring up and affirming your position in the marketplace that you're operating in. Investing simultaneously in your internal branding as you're growing your team is crucial at this phase as well. A growing team that doesn't fully understand a brand can significantly inhibit the speed and success of the rate that you grow at. It's at this point where all of those previously tested relationships with creative suppliers should be assured. And you want to really start thinking at this stage about retainer relationships with the creative suppliers that you enjoy working with. Entering into a longer-term relationship is where you start getting serious value back, because those creative suppliers are going to start being able to give you proper recommendations as they see the direction that you want to take your brand in. 5 quick indicators that you are in the growth phase. Number 1, you just know that you've found your creative people. Number 2, you're in the process of expanding your team because you know you need some help to grow your business to where you want it to go to. Number 3, your forecasted sales feel predictable, and you know that the people who are regularly buying from you enjoy having a transaction with your brand. They enjoy the brand experience that you're giving them. Number 4, you're not just expanding your team willy-nilly, you've really forecasted that as well. You've planned out which hires you need to make and when you need to make them. And number 5, you are really confident when it comes to saying no. This is something that you've mastered, and you know that you can say no with confidence when it doesn't fit what plans you have because you're focusing on your growth right now. So if you're in the growth phase, you need to be thinking about investing wisely, especially when it comes to your brand. And like I said, at face value, this can seem like a really tedious task, But if you know that you want to remove yourself out of the day-to-day of your business, you're going to need to make sure that your team can live and breathe and speak your brand on your behalf. I'm really interested to know then at this point in the video which phase you know your business brand is in. So let me know below in the comments. I can't wait to see what you say. Maturity phase. 5 quick indicators that you are in the maturity phase of your business. Number 1, your business is growing consistently at about a rate of 5% each year. And the people that you've hired in your team are starting to hit the 8 to 10 year mark of their employment with you. Number 2, it's at this phase that you feel really secure. This is the most secure phase when you're running a business. Number 3, you're taking regular dividends out of the business. Number 4, you are firmly out of the day-to-day of your business. You have a professional management team or an operational director who runs the day-to-day, and you're there to help steer the ship when things go wrong or put out any fires when there's real emergencies that require your attention. Number 5, your brand is recognized. So by this, I mean that you are confident that when other people are talking about your brand, they're repeating the key messages that you and your reliable creative team have worked hard to craft. The real beauty of being in this phase is that you have the cash flow to really defend your position in the marketplace. Having built up that reliable brand recognition, it's at this point where you want to make a decision about how you're going to exit. For you, this could mean cashing out, it could mean retiring, it could mean going on a sabbatical, or it could be using that brand recognition and taking it to a totally different market. Maybe you want to diversify your services or your products, but you want to use that brand recognition to help you get there faster. Regardless of what your decision is, it's important you start doing some key preparation work on establishing your exact brand equity. And this is where those long-term relationships with your creative team really pays dividends. This creative team should be coming to you with solid recommendations and helping you prepare for the next step that you want to take in making sure that this whole process is a lot easier. If we've just established then that you are in this phase in your business, you want to make sure that you're actively calling upon your creative suppliers to help you back up which decision you've made on the next journey. Are you going to be establishing brand equity because you want to sell it? Are you establishing brand equity as a way to explore new markets? Or are you looking for a different next step in your journey? The rebirth or decline phase. 5 quick indicators then that you are in the rebirth or decline phase of your business brand. Number 1, your revenue has declined for 3 consecutive financial quarters. Number 2, you are well aware of your direct competitors, so people who are doing the same thing for the same market at the same price as you, and you've done a little bit of research and actually you know that they're doing better than you are right now. Number 3, when you're really honest with yourself, you know that you've kind of emotionally checked out. So you're very reluctant to want to invest in anything because you know that you'd rather keep that money for yourself if you're cashing out. This could be anything in the business, from new technical equipment to investing in the right types of staff. You just want to keep the money because you know you're going to take it in a minute. Number 4, this isn't always a doom and gloom phase in a business or a brand journey. For a lot of savvy entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs who have multiple businesses, getting to this phase is very intentional and they want to do it on a regular basis. So actively investing in exploring new markets with new brands sometimes means that you have to get to this place regularly. But the more savvy ones do it when they're back in the growth or the maturity phase of their business. So they hit this phase quickly and then move on to the next. Number 5, rebranding with solid strategy is going to be crucial at this phase if you want to survive. So doing a quick little brand facelift is not going to work. A quick logo change and a few color tweaks is probably not going to work. You have bigger, more fundamental problems that are about your brand, but you're going to have to make those operational and key changes in the way that you're doing business and then do some sort of branding to reflect those changes. It has to be really deep. This phase is about significant changes if you want to survive. Now, if you've done what you needed to in your maturity and sometimes even in the growth phase of your business, you should have a really good idea about your brand equity. This means that if you're dealing with a cash out scenario or a migration of your brand, you have all of the key information that you need to make the right decisions. Part of that work is going to involve intense new market analysis. And if you're hoping to take your current brand with you to that new market, you're going to have to do some important work on understanding how the people who are in that market perceive the current brand. If we've just established that you are in the rebirth or decline phase of your business, we know that it's all about gathering some important information to help you on your way. If you've had a really good relationship with your creative suppliers, they should be able to help you do that in a strategic and creative way, which should help you in the next part of your journey. If, however, the reason you've got to this phase is because you've avoided investing in creative, then you're probably going to end up getting stung at this point. You're going to have to fork out a lot more money for a whole new set of creative people to help you with this type of market analysis. Spend the money and you'll avoid repeating the same mistake again. If you've enjoyed learning about how much you should be spending on your brand with me today, then you probably want to take a look at these episodes up next. Mwah. Now, before you go anywhere, don't forget to subscribe. We're definitely recording. Check. The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.